So this is a rockler fountain pen. I think this looks really nice, especially with this purple heart blank that I have on here. Now pressing these pieces on can definitely be a challenge, but I've figured a few things out on my way. So one thing that I thought was going to be really hard, first of all, is when you first get this tip. It's all in one piece, but really, this actually screws out. This is how you change your ink. This comes out, and you can see the ink cartridge is attached. It's important that you unscrew this, then you can push in this threaded piece here, because obviously you can't put the clamp on the actual pen and then press there, but you can press on that and push the threads in. Then you can put the ink cartridge in and then thread the tip into that piece. And now we can thread the cap on, and there's two threaded pieces on the front right here, which we already pushed in, and on the back. Now these pieces I found are pretty tricky to get to slide on straight. It just takes a lot of time and maneuvering and placing it on different parts of the vise. One thing I did find that was a little bit useful was a countersink. On that brass tube, if I took the countersink and just added a little bit of that chamfer, that helped a lot just to help it slide on evenly. But you just have to watch it. If it starts going on crooked at all, that's going to be a problem because it's going to push through and crack the wood. So I'm using the adjustable pen mandrel that comes from Rockler. I think it's really useful to be able to adjust the size, so I can turn one small bushing this size, one small blank this size, and make it bigger, smaller. It's an advantage. Now this blank here I'm turning, this is the cap. Now it's better to turn them both together, which I did do, but the cap here, right, I had it all finished, and I forgot to do the cutting in like the mortise here. It's a 3.5 cut all the way down to the brass tube, and right as I was cutting in with that parting tool, it snapped the blank and it just ripped apart, that was not good. But I was able to re-glue the brass tube onto a new piece of wood and return it down, and I'm ready to do that part in again. And then this piece here pushes onto the brass tube, and that's what you're lathing. That's why you have to part in like that. And I already pushed in the threads here that thread this cap on the end. This is why I can't put this bushing all the way on. So that is kind of a trick, but I was able to get the correct size because I used my calipers here and made the measurement, and this looks nice, and I'm surprised I was still able to get it on the mandrel, and everything fits together well. So now I'm just going to keep turning this blank down, and actually this lathe I just recently converted to variable speed with an old treadmill motor. It's really nice having a variable speed. I can adjust the speed if it's a square stock while it's kind of unbalanced. To make it go a little slower, once I get it round, I can make it faster. Sanding, I can make it even faster. And for different operations, I can make the speed change. I really like it. Go ahead and make the scary part into that piece of wood. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the lathe on. So now this piece is going to be able to slide over the brass tube there. It'll be press fit. And you can see what happened last time was I went in, and just as I was about to finish, I just tapped it a little bit more, and then my blank went and broke off. So you can see there's still a little bit of wood there. That's really thin. I'll just be able to like take a knife and carve that away real lightly, and then I'll be able to press this on, but I don't want to take it too far. So now I'm going to go ahead and sand this. Make it nice and smooth and get a good finish on it. So this is sanded up to a 400 grit finish. It's looking pretty nice. I started down at 180, and now I'm gonna move up to 600, and if it needs it, I could go up to 1200. So that looks like a really good 600 grit finish. Now I'm just gonna get the purple back in the wood. I think this is one of the coolest steps, of course. You can tell right now it's a brownish, reddish wood, but it turns into a nice deep purple with heat. let me show you. So using this heat gun, it gets hot enough. Some people use a torch and just do that. I'll use this heat gun to heat up the wood here, so I'll take the lathe up to a slower speed. So right there is good. Now we'll turn on the gun. This looks really nice. It's just amazing how the purple just pops. You can see right there where I didn't really get it with the heat. That's what it looked like before. The color difference is just amazing. But now we're gonna go ahead and sand this with 600 grit again, because whenever you apply the heat, it raises the grain of the wood, which makes it kind of feel rough, which I can feel. So I'm gonna go with 600. So now I have this sanded, actually up to 1200. I just had some, and it takes barely any time on the lathe. So I just sanded up to a nice high finish, and that looks really nice. Now let's go ahead and, actually we're gonna press the, we're gonna finish it before we press the pieces on, but we are gonna cut this piece off before we finish it. So we got everything cleaned up. It's a nice 1200 grit finish, and I think we can go ahead and put finish on. So I'm gonna use a lacquer finish. I really like the finish that lacquer leaves, especially on Purple Heart. I've seen a lot of people use CA glue finishes, which is super glue. Personally, I think that's a little bit too shiny. Lacquer leaves just like a satin finish. It's the perfect finish, and I'm really liking how it looks, especially with Purple Heart. But I'm gonna go ahead and apply this, and it's already looking nice. So now I'm gonna go ahead and let this sit for a few minutes. I probably have about 10 coats on there. It dries pretty quick, and since it's a pen, I want a good amount of coats on there so it's durable. And I'm gonna let this sit for about 5 minutes just so it cures and I can touch it and press it together. So now we can go ahead and take the blank off the lathe. Take off the nut there. Take this out. And there is our blank. Yeah, that little cut in there was definitely a trick, but we got it. It's pretty smooth, it's flat. So now let's go ahead and push that piece on. So we're just gonna go ahead and clean up this brass tube. I'm just chamfering the edge a little bit because it is a little bit flared from last time. So just clean that up so we'll be able to slide it on. And then make sure my hands are clean when I'm touching this. It looks so nice. We'll go ahead and take the vise in. So I think this is gonna be a tricky piece to get on to go on straight. Or maybe not. So that's going on. Nice and smooth. Okay. Gotta be careful here. Let's get it to the perfect point where there's no gap. And that looks like it's meshing perfectly. Right there. So that looks really nice. So now I'm going to take the cap. I already pushed this piece in because this was pushed on before, and that's the reason why my bushing wouldn't slide in the whole way. And now we're able to screw on the clip piece. And then here's our cap. So if I get my pen and the cap, I can screw that on, and would you look at that? That is a really nice looking pen. We can take the cap off from there, put it on the back, write with it. When you're done, put the cap on. So now out in the sunlight, I'm gonna go ahead and see how well this writes. Put it on the back. I already have the tube pressed in. Just get the ink down to the tip. There we go. Let's see. There, now it's flowing. Okay. So I hope you guys found this video useful, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.